So imagine owning nearly 3/4 of an acre of, lush, mature greenery, but right in the middle of town. Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we are looking at a property that pulls off that exact paradox. Candice M. Bibber-Jefferson of Epique Realty presents 415 Centennial Ave, Lewisburg, TN 37091. We are exploring the notes on this beautifully maintained 1981 property because it is just, well, an incredible masterclass in how a home's physical layout can completely dictate your daily balance.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating case study. I mean, finding a 0.73-acre lot inside city limits is, getting incredibly rare today.
Absolutely.
Right, because urban infill usually just chops those parcels up. But here, that massive scale really sets the stage for a concept architectural psychologists call dual-purpose zoning.
You see that dual-purpose concept like the second you look at the
Well,
exterior.
right away, yeah.
Because on one hand, you have this classic, slow-paced, rocking chair front porch. But right next to it, there is a dedicated, highly practical RV parking pad. It is like the porch is this cozy landing zone and the RV space is an adventure launch pad.
I love that analogy. They really do cater to completely different mindsets, and that is the brilliance of the design. The porch acts as your anchor, your cozy daily connection to the neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
And the RV pad, meanwhile, is your outbound launch pad. The property essentially gives you the infrastructural permission to be both a homebody and a world explorer.
Which is huge, without having to pay for offsite storage to facilitate that adventure.
Exactly.
And that permission to just have it all, it continues right through the front door. The file details a bright 1,964 square foot layout.
Which is incredibly generous for a primary living area.
Right. But let me play devil's advocate for a second here. There is so much emphasis on the seamless transition from the eat-in kitchen to the main living areas. When you remove those physical walls, doesn't that just turn a house into a giant noisy box where you can never escape the sound of the dishwasher?
Well, that is the classic pitfall of the purely open concept trend, for sure. But what saves a layout like this is smart spatial distribution.
Okay, how so?
So the kitchen features these fantastic modern updates like stainless steel appliances, but the flow works because the house still maintains distinct functional zones.
So it does not just feel like one big warehouse.
Right, exactly. By removing the visual barriers between the kitchen and living room, you eliminate the social isolation of whoever is cooking. But because of the home's footprint, you aren't sacrificing the cozy, intimate feel of a traditional living room.
That makes total sense.
Plus, the warm hardwood floors throughout act as a visual unifier, making the open flow feel highly intentional.
It feels planned, yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of distinct zones, let's look at the second floor.
Oh, the upstairs space.
Yeah, because all 3 bedrooms are situated on the main level. That leaves us with a 29 by 12-foot recreation room entirely on its own upstairs.
It is huge. To visualize that, 29 feet is practically the length of a standard bowling lane.
Right. So when everything you technically need for daily survival is already handled downstairs, how does a massive undefined room like that not just become an oversized attic for, collecting holiday decorations?
Well, that is a very real risk if a space lacks purpose. But in home design, we call this a true flex space. Its power comes entirely from its structural separation.
Oh, it is basically the ultimate buffer zone.
Exactly. Because the primary living and sleeping quarters are completely contained on the main floor, the acoustics and the foot traffic of that upstairs room are isolated. You can use it for incredibly loud activities.
Like a booming media room.
Yeah, or a heavy-duty fitness studio. Or you can use it for something requiring absolute silence, like a dedicated home office.
Oh, wow. So it really is a blank canvas.
It bends to fit the evolving phases of your life completely without disrupting the quiet sanctuary of the main floor bedrooms below.
I love that. Which actually brings us out back, because the living space certainly does not stop at the back door.
No, the outdoor sanctuary is really the crown jewel here.
It really is. The notes highlight a newly refinished 2-level deck, stepping down into a private garden wrapped in mature landscaping.
It's stunning.
But from a functional standpoint, why does a multi-level deck matter so much more than just pouring a standard flat concrete patio?
That is a great question. Multi-level decking automatically creates distinct outdoor rooms, right? So the upper level might be naturally designated for dining and grilling.
Oh, and the lower level shifts the energy toward lounging.
Precisely. It takes that concept of intentional zoning we saw indoors and extends it right out into that massive yard. It turns what could just be an empty lawn into a highly functional personal retreat.
It is just incredible how an environment shapes your behavior. At $461,540, the real value here is finding a home that so effortlessly balances the practical demands of modern daily life with such expansive, adaptable spaces.
Absolutely. It highlights how a property with solid structural zoning and a huge lot can offer a lifestyle that modern, densely packed subdivisions often struggle to replicate.
So true. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to mull over. When a home explicitly provides dedicated spaces for both embarking on outbound adventures and retreating into deep, quiet relaxation, how might living in that environment completely reshape the way you balance exploring the world with recharging your own spirit?